A lot of people say, oh, you're a runner? Like, that's cool, I hate running. And I totally like relate to that because there are days when like running is hard. But at the end of the day, like running is just something that like I can always come back to, and it's a constant in my life. It's something where like if I have a difficult day or even a great day, like I can go on my run and just come back to myself and get in that flow, and it just clears your mind. I grew up in Midland, Michigan. We've always been like a super active family, never like super involved in one specific sport. Like I kind of was the kid that tried everything, tried soccer, basketball, I did ballet for a little bit, and then I guess running ended up being the one that stuck. My dad and my mom both was always the ones like taking us up to our cottage like literally every weekend. We were up at Crystal Mountain in the winter, and then in the summer water skiing, wakeboarding, and just crazy adventures all the time. Pretty much active from day one without a choice, but I loved it.
Yeah, I think that was a big part of us growing up. We were always doing stuff, ride bikes or be outside, and just really, we were never really that pushy about it, just do something very active.
I was always a swimmer in middle school just as a fun thing, and then kind of got really competitive with it in high school. I ended up like going to states for the backstroke, and I always kind of considered swimming like more my major sport and then track as like my side fun sport. I think it's the similar mindset for running and swimming. Like they're both endurance sports. It's essentially the same thing as you're racing the clock, and so it's that like racer mentality I learned a lot from swimming translates into running. Starting around like 3rd or 4th grade, our gym teacher had us do like these timed miles, and I was like the first in the class for the timed mile, but like I never really thought much of it.
For Midland out with a time of 2:14.66, Erin McDonald.
Really kind of my junior year of high school was when I sort of started to see that like I could actually score points at a state level and compete. My coach started putting it into my head like, hey, like you could set the school record. Like the school record's 2:14. Like you should go for that next year. So then like training for my senior season, I was like, okay, yeah, let's go for it. Let's try to set the record. And then I ended up like exceeding the record. And that's when like college coaches started contacting my coach like, hey, is this girl running in college? And I was like, no. What it ultimately came down to is I had a really long phone conversation with the coaches here, Coach Senikevich at Michigan State, and I remember she said, Erin, don't not do something because you're afraid of it. Because I kept saying like, oh, I'm just afraid to run in college. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to balance it all, academics and sports. And when she said that, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go for it.
National championship team.
When I was a redshirt freshman, I was on the team with that national championship team. It just makes you so inspired and just truly like want to have that level of success again. Training with all those girls as well really gives you a perspective of like what it takes to be at that level. These were all girls that, like, if you look at their histories, they weren't crazy All-Americans out of high school. They were like me, and they worked hard, and they built their way up to that national championship. I remember looking at that and like thinking, I can do this. If she can do it, like I can do it too. It's definitely crazy how far I've come. I could barely keep up on simple base runs as a freshman. What's supposed to be like considered like easy runs, I was struggling. And then now I see myself like scoring at conference meets, and I'm like, me? Are you sure? Like that's right? Like, so still I see myself as this not a runner, but I'm starting now to see myself as someone that's competitive and get that confidence.
When she was in high school, one time the swim coach said, I don't know, Erin just was a racer. Whenever we put her in the pool, she's just lets go and races. And I think that's been her, her kind of MO. She just never feels like she can't do it.
trust the process is like the Michigan State way. It goes both in academics and running go hand in hand, just in knowing that that hard work is going to pay off. It's the same thing when I'm running, and I know that it's difficult now, but it's going to make me better for races. It's going to help me to score points. It's the same thing when I'm struggling in academics and at my job and my internships. Sometimes you have days where you're frustrated, you can't solve the problem, you feel like you're behind on your project. But it's sort of like our coach always tells us, just focus on the next thing. When it gets tough in a race, just focus on the next thing that you have to do. Helping a teammate, getting to that next, mark on the track, and break it down in your mind, and then sooner, before you know it, it'll be over and you'll have accomplished the goal that you set out to accomplish.
I think running just has taught her about perseverance and discipline and self-reliance, but also relying on your team. She takes so much from her team members, and just the camaraderie and the love and just the commitment and the hard work and the dedication and the team spirit that they all have together. That's going to take her through life. Those are friends, those are lifelong friends that she's made here at Michigan State. But those are also principles that she'll apply at work, in her family, and in her life.
I guess running for me at the end of the day is my one truth that I can always go back to, and it just brings me back to my center, brings me back to feeling like myself, regardless of what is going on around me.